Jacob hunched over the screen, his jaw tight with determination. He had to be right. The signs, the coincidences, it was all too much to dismiss. His drone drifted over the dense forest, the screen showing nothing but an endless sea of trees. Doubt gnawed at him. Had he been chasing ghosts? Then movement. His breath hitched as something flickered on the monitor. Heart pounding. He zoomed in, his fingers shaking slightly. There it was. Cold, undeniable proof. Relief surged through him, but it was fleeting. Something was wrong. The image sharpened, revealing a chilling detail he hadn't expected. Jacob's stomach twisted. His triumph soured into dread as he processed what he was seeing. His heartbeat roared in his ears, a cold sweat prickling at his skin. This wasn't just proof that he was right, it was something much, much worse. Jacob sat rigidly in the police station's waiting room, fingers drumming against his notebook. Time dragged as officers walked past without a glance. No one believed him. He finally approached the front desk. "Would you please listen? Just write my report." The officer sighed. "You know how many stories we hear every day? Bring me something solid." Jacob slumped back in his seat. He had no hard evidence, just instincts and certainty. He had seen what he had seen. If no one else believed him, he'd prove it himself. Outside, he climbed into his car and drove through the winding roads of Glendale, a quiet town nestled in the mountains. The forest, once familiar, now felt foreign. A month earlier, he had found a broken trail camera during a morning jog. He brushed it off as an accident. But then came other signs: trampled underbrush, hidden campsites, scattered cigarette butts. He thought hikers were to blame, but unease crept in. Then, the carcass, not preyed upon, just left there. The wounds were deliberate. That's when fear truly took root. The worst came with the sound. A haunting wail from deep in the woods. He followed it, but by the time he arrived, silence had taken over. He reported everything: the damage, the carcass, the scream. But the forest rangers dismissed him. "Probably just a hunter," they said, laughing off his concerns. Now, driving past the towering trees, his frustration burned. No one would act, so he would return to the forest himself. This time, he wouldn't leave empty-handed. Jacob kept returning to the police station, hoping someone would take him seriously. But each time, he was brushed aside. To them, he was just another ambitious journalist chasing a story. But this was personal. The forest was his home. After losing his parents, both rangers, it was all he had left of them. Watching it fall under a shadow was unbearable. He wasn't, after headlines, he wanted to protect it. Lying awake that night, he knew he needed hard evidence. Just believing wasn't enough. He had to make others see what he saw. The next morning, he retraced his steps. But the forest had changed. The campsites were gone. The carcass vanished. It was like nothing had ever happened. Panic set in. Without proof, he was just another voice crying wolf. Then it struck him he needed a drone. He rushed to town and bought the best one he could afford. Back in the forest, he launched it, watching the live feed with hope. The drone soared, offering a bird's-eye view he had never had before. But as he scanned the footage, his excitement drained. Nothing. Just miles of trees, ordinary and indifferent. For days, Jacob launched the drone repeatedly, scanning different sections of the forest. But the footage was always the same trees, birds, the occasional deer. No signs of anything unusual. Frustration mounted. He altered flight paths and locations, but the forest kept its secrets. Each fruitless day chipped away at his certainty. Late at night, he pored over the recordings, eyes burning from strain. Had he imagined it all? The longer he searched, the more foolish he felt. He was running out of time and belief. One morning, he hesitated. Was it worth trying again? Still, he pushed the doubts away and launched the drone. One last time. The feed looked just like every other day until something flickered. His breath caught. Zooming in, he spotted movement beneath the trees. His pulse quickened. A hidden campsite came into view, confirming what he had long suspected. Relief surged through him, but something felt off. He zoomed further. Beside the site lay a moose, massive and motionless. Its breathing was labored, and a deep gash marked its leg. Jacob's stomach turned. The injury looked fresh, like the animal had been caught in a trap. He adjusted the camera, capturing everything for evidence. But as the drone hovered closer, the moose stirred. Its eyes opened. Within seconds, it thrashed violently, striking the drone with its antlers. Jacob's screen went black. Static buzzed in his ears. He jolted upright, heart racing, his only proof gone. The moose was in agony, and now he had nothing but his word again. Time was running out. The animal wouldn't survive long. He weighed his options. Another drone would take too long. The rangers wouldn't believe him without footage. He couldn't wait. He grabbed his digital camera, medical kit, and shoved them into a backpack. Pulling on his boots, he made a decision he was going in himself. Jacob marked the campsite's coordinates on his map. The area was deep in unfamiliar territory. He hesitated, then texted, "Saw something in the forest. Going to investigate. Call the cops if I don't respond by evening." He enabled location tracking and stepped into the forest. The trees closed around him. Every sound felt amplified, every shadow a threat. His heart thudded with every step. He wasn't sure if this was bravery or madness. He questioned himself. He was a journalist, not a rescuer. What if he couldn't help? What if whoever set the trap was still there? Still, he pressed on. The forest floor was uneven and treacherous. Roots and brambles clawed at his legs as he stumbled through the thick brush. The silence was oppressive, unnatural. He paused to check his map. Still on course, but the dense canopy above blocked out much of the light. He was deep now, completely alone. Then a guttural sound broke the silence. Jacob froze. Another noise followed. Closer, ragged. He moved toward it, forcing down his fear. Pushing through the undergrowth, he found the ruined campsite. Beside it, the moose lay, its breathing weak and uneven. Jacob stepped closer, overwhelmed by the size and vulnerability of the animal. Despite the pain, it watched him with dark, uncertain eyes. He knelt, voice low and steady. Its leg was wrapped in barbed wire, the flesh torn and bleeding. Fury surged in his chest. Someone had done this, then left it to die. Carefully, Jacob reached for the wire. The moose didn't resist. His hands trembled as he worked, freeing the leg inch by inch. The trap was crude, but finally it came away. The wound was deep, but the worst was over. The moose was free. Jacob reached into his backpack and pulled out his medical kit. He wasn't a vet, but he had seen his mother treat animals before. Gently, he cleaned the moose's wound and wrapped it in gauze. The animal trembled but stayed still. When Jacob finished, the moose leaned forward and licked his hand. The gesture hit him hard. It was gratitude. Turning to the campsite, Jacob snapped photos of the broken tent and scattered fire pit. He focused on every detail, knowing this evidence might finally convince the rangers. But behind him, a strained huff made him pause. The moose was trying to stand. He watched, transfixed, as the moose struggled to its feet. It swayed, clearly weak, but remained upright. Then it turned, stepped toward the trees, and looked back. It was waiting for him. Jacob hesitated. The sky was darkening. Going deeper into the forest now felt reckless, but when he looked into the moose's eyes, he saw more than pain, he saw fear. It wasn't just leading him, it was pleading. A gust of wind stirred the trees. Jacob gripped his camera and took a step forward. The moose turned and limped ahead. He followed. The deeper they went, the stranger the forest felt. Branches clawed at his clothes, and unseen things rustled nearby. Doubt crept in, but Jacob couldn't turn back. They walked for what felt like hours. The moose pressed on, driven by something Jacob couldn't yet understand. Finally, it stopped near a towering rock formation. Jacob stepped past it and froze. Beyond the trees was an enormous industrial site. Floodlights lit up a clearing where men worked with machinery and firearms. Conveyor belts moved rock and soil toward waiting trucks. Jacob's heart dropped. This wasn't minor logging, it was a full-scale illegal mining operation. As he stepped closer for a better look, he slipped. The mud gave way, and he landed hard. The site went still. Workers turned, spotting him instantly. A man stepped forward. Well, what do we have here? Jacob stood, heart pounding. How could you destroy the forest like this? He demanded. They laughed. Two men approached, and Jacob froze. Then a roar shattered the silence. The moose charged forward, antlers lowered. The men backed off, startled. But one barked, "Get the rifle!" Panic surged through Jacob. If they shot the moose, he'd be alone and helpless. His mind raced, but there was no plan until the forest came alive with barking. Police dogs, headlights cut through the trees. Rangers poured in, shouting commands. The miners panicked and scattered, but they didn't get far. Jacob dropped to his knees, overwhelmed. A voice called his name. His best friend ran toward him. Jacob let out a breathless laugh as he was helped to his feet. He had made it. The forest was safe. In the days that followed, authorities shut down the operation. Jacob was honored by the town for his bravery. His story spread far beyond Glendale, though he never sought fame. He had only wanted to protect what mattered. One evening, Jacob stood at the forest's edge as the sun set. The woods were peaceful again, full of life. A soft rustle caught his attention. He turned, and for a moment, he thought he saw the silhouette of the moose, watching from the shadows, a silent farewell from the guardian of the woods.